一体何の話ですか？
ちょっと、なんでレコポンのこと無視するのよ。
お客さんのことっすか？
いいよ。
からかわないでくださいよ、お二人さん。もう自分帰ります。
お二人さん？何あの人、まるでレコポンのこと。
見えてないのさ。
I'm literally gonna wait for you. And I see you're gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna like. I'm just keep watching.
Just subscribe.
And you think the clip gonna cut right here, but it's not because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button and the subscribe and the post notification button.
Who are you? Seems like the most generic question that anyone could ever ask you. You would answer it and say that you're such and such from where and you do this and yada yada yada. But really, when you sit down and you're alone by yourself, who are you? I think that a lot of people spend a lot of their lives trying to figure out who they are, which is kind of weird because when you're younger, you're told who you are special, you are unique, you are you. But what if you weren't you? What if you find out that the person that makes you so unique, there's only one of you, there actually wasn't one of you? I'm sure that it would leave a lot of people confused and really trying to struggle to grasp their own identity. It's hard enough trying to figure yourself out when there's just one of you, but if you're told that you were someone else and you had to live up to who that person was, it would be an entirely different story. Well, this is what happens within this anime. Kowloon Generic Romance has one of the most interesting concepts out there right now in this season. It's one of the most unique anime, and it's notoriously known for being spicy. But it seems like no one is actually talking about this anime. This is where I come in. Oh yeah, besides all of the sad stuff about trying to figure yourself out, the opening's fire. When I first heard about this anime, I saw a pretty interesting trailer which showed a more mature sort of anime that had a lot of spice. But I at least need to tell you about the premise of this anime. Now, this is gonna be a pretty difficult thing for me to do because I can't say too much without spoiling because I know too much. But this is a story about a character who is struggling to identify herself. She feels as though she has lived her life, but certain things that happen within the story leave her questioning who she is. And it seems as though she is haunted by a figure that looks just like her. And as the story advances, you get more and more little pieces as to what exactly is going on. But what you find out is that there's a lot of things that you won't find out. And this is the essential premise of this anime without saying too much. But what makes this anime unique? Which brings me to the first point. Actually, I think I know what some of you are here for, so I'll just get to that first. In terms of relationships, if you're looking for a romance anime that is more mature, you got it. And also, if you've seen certain things on the internet, yeah, they've got a lot of range. It's not just a guy and a girl. I don't want to spoil too much. Also, if you're kind of put off by that, then... But now, going back to what actually makes this anime super unique besides the spice, it's the fact that this anime really works off of the thing of illusion. At the beginning of the anime, there's a lot of things that are presented to you. This sense of community. I don't want to keep saying the town's name, but you know, Kowloon. It's home for people. There's a lot of sense of community within this anime that is expressed. A lot of connections that people have to each other. It's their town. It's a special place. No one wants to leave. And as such, when you watch the episodes, you have an understanding that this is home for a lot of people. And for our main character, this is all she knows. And the people there are so beautiful, and it creates this fun, homey picture. But then later onwards within the anime, it turns out that this is partially an illusion. Maybe, because so far within the anime, it's kind of in between. Because it seems like on one end, the town exists, but on the other end, it seems like it doesn't. And this is what this anime does really amazingly, is the presentation of illusions. When you watch this anime, it's an elite mind. You really find yourself questioning what is real and what is not, because you see these characters have so much life to them, but as the episodes pass, you find out that that might not even be true. The fact that there's this huge spaceship that's like, I don't even know if it's a spaceship, but like there's this thing in the sky that kind of made you think at the beginning, you're probably something I should pay attention to. It's something that's always in your mind when you see certain things happen within this city or town that make you question if it's real or not. Is this someone someone dreaming? Is this a hologram? Is this a program? Is this someone's memories? Is this real? You don't know, but it seems like it is. And this is what this anime does the entire time. The whole concept of illusion is something that will keep bothering you every single time, because that leads into the other thing that this anime does so well, which is the question of identity. Within this anime, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of questioning of who you are, because the main character is not really herself as far as we know. You're not sure if she's a doppelganger, a clone, an illusion, a program. You're not sure, but you still see this main character as having life because she's her own person, but yet she's struggling with this shadow, this legacy that she has that she doesn't know of. But you start to learn that within her life, there's a lot of things that she doesn't know. She doesn't even know how she got in her own apartment. But as she starts to learn certain things within the story, you really start to see her struggle with the whole concept of identifying herself, stepping out of that shadow. And this brings us to one of her relationships, where you find out that one of the characters is trying to make her live a life that her past self used to live. When she learns this, you see that she realizes that she's kind of being systemized to go back to who she was, which makes you question, who is she? Because it seems like someone is making an attempt to remind her of who she is. But within the story, you realize that she's not the same person. And that's something that's gonna cook you as someone who was watching this anime, because you like the character as who she is, but you're not sure if she's even original. And within the story, you're gonna have a lot of questions that can be applied to yourself, where you see that she's trying to really figure out who she is as a person. And as you get to a certain age, that is something that's gonna be the biggest question you have in your entire life. Who are you? What makes you unique? What makes you special? Something that you've been told since you were a baby or a child, that you're different, that you're unique. But as time passes, you start to realize that some of the preferences and things that you like probably are influenced by someone else. Who really are you when you take the time to sit down? It's a really deep question, and this anime addresses that question in its own quirky way. And this is why this anime has a strong, powerful approach to what identity is, which makes it super special. But this is now where we come to the issue of this anime. The thing that really brings this anime down is the fact that it has such beautiful concepts, but the execution is just so bad. And what I mean by this is that the ideas of this anime are so awesome. They keep you on your toes, you keep trying to figure out things, but the problem is they're just not threaded correctly. And this is the problem with this anime, because you find yourself focusing at the beginning of the anime. It's really intense, but then the middle just becomes a blur, and then the end is where you focus again, because it lives off of the fact of giving you cliffhangers, which is a good thing because then you want to watch the next episode. But in terms of just getting there, I find myself not remembering sometimes what happens in between the episodes because of the fact that things aren't threaded correctly. It's not interesting. The dialogue sometimes just feels like a bunch of information overload, and as such you feel like you're being taught a lesson than really being told a story, and it sometimes can just make you switch off as a person who watches this anime. And I think that this is partly one of the reasons why this anime hasn't blown up or hasn't been pushed as much as it could have been. This anime has so many ideas that it sometimes just struggles to deliver them in a way that's interesting or natural. It just becomes boring at times, and that's the most disappointing thing about this anime. At this point, if you're a person who's up to date, you're really watching out of commitment. It's not the anime that you probably thought it was gonna be, but at this point, and also the season is kind of like not that many cool anime, but at this point you're kind of just there already, so you're just gonna see it through. And that's disappointing because this could have been a really captivating anime and story. And also someone told me that apparently they're up to date with the manga in terms of the anime, so we're gonna get anime original things, which means that things could either go west, east, I don't know, up, down, either way. This could be something good or bad. But unfortunately, for an anime to get to 8 episodes and not really have something that's gonna hook you besides the whole mystery aspect that isn't well written in terms of being tied well, it's gonna be something difficult to sell to anybody. It's not well tied together. You have to do that yourself. And even though someone might say that's why it's a really good thinking anime, no, it's not. Because then it doesn't make the story that fun. Instead, it's just a lesson. I'm not here to watch an anime to learn lessons. I'm here to be told a story and have fun so that I can tell other people, but also other people can watch it and enjoy the actual story, but the lessons were within the story. That's the most fun stuff. No one is here to be told lessons. Really, it just takes weird commitment to watch this anime, and it shouldn't be that way. Based on how people have reacted in terms of the people who read the manga and have watched the anime, there's a lot of disappointment in what has happened in terms of the anime. So clearly, there's a better way that it can be executed, but it's not in terms of this anime. But overall, in terms of the animation, it's okay. I think the animation wasn't anything that was gonna sell you on the anime. It was more of the stories, which it has, but I've said my part. In terms of the music, like I said, the OP's a banger. It's pretty awesome, it's fun. The ending, yeah, it's okay. And as such, I leave this anime with more questions than I have answers. I think that there was something there with this anime that makes me want to tell people about it. If you're prepared to be patient, go through the lessons, and maybe just watch an anime that's different, accept it for what it is, like it was just something for the moment. The season passes and you kind of move on. Side note, for the people who want like spice, it's there, but like I would not go through all of that just for the spice, but it's interesting enough for me to talk about and want other people to see. But for the people who have watched the anime, I think that we're all gonna leave the anime with a lot of questions, and not in the way that I think this anime wanted.